so welcome to the next installment of the Thrive podcast. Dan Stoltzfus here with Dax Ferguson. And so today we have the privilege and honor of having a good friend, Tim Mai, on the episode. And so Tim has his hands on a little bit of everything, but he's a big mogul within the multifamily industry. So we just want to give Tim a minute to tell us, Tim, who are you and why should we like you?
Sounds good. It's interesting that you're introducing me as a mogul in this multifamily space. I made the biggest mistake of my entire life, and I've been in real estate for 21 years now. I've only been in this multifamily space for a year and a half. And I'll share with you the whole story of why that is, but a little bit about my background. If you ever heard of the term Vietnamese boat people, it's a group of people that escaped out of Vietnam after the war ended in 1975 and migrated here to the US. I'm one of those. When I came here, I was 12 years old. My older brother was 19. My family didn't come along because we couldn't. We had tried to escape as a family many times. It wasn't successful. But, when my brother turned 18, his option was stay back in Vietnam and get drafted into the communist, military, or try to get out of Vietnam and, do something, right? So in my parents' case, they want us to come to America, get well educated, find a good job, like all of our parents do. And so when I came here, my older brother, I was 12, he was 19, two boys on the street, living in Section 8 housing. It's funny that I'm in multifamily now because some of these apartment complexes that I go look at, they look just like the ones I was in, as ghetto as can be.
Wow, nice.
Yeah. So
what year was that?
That was 1987.
Wow.
Yeah. And when we were living there, we did whatever we could to survive. Really, my brother was selling like flowers at intersections and just doing whatever. We took on a bunch of other runaway kids to live with us as well, to help in with food and all of that. So at any given time, there were at least 8 to 12 other boys, young guys like us living there. So fast forward a little bit. We moved out of I was able to finish high school. After that, we moved out into a better, still Section 8, but at least better complex. And then halfway through my college, I was a computer science major. I got recruited by an IT company. This was during the .com days, right? And so I got recruited, moved to Richardson, Texas, and lived there for a couple of years. And then, as you all know, .com came, .com bust, bust came, and I got laid off from my IT job. Moved back to Houston. That's when I got started in real estate investing, and that was June of 2002.
Yeah. Well, I'm not very good at math, but Tim, you look great for, was it 80 something?
I know, right? Yeah, I have a lot of gray hair. It doesn't show on camera, but thank goodness.
No, that's an awesome story. We've heard bits and pieces of that, I think, but it's great to hear where you come from and how you've come so far.
Yeah, and I'll share I mentioned about my biggest mistake. So I got started in the single family home industry. So I've done a lot of fix and flips. During the 2008 market crash, I had 30 something houses in different stages of constructions and for sale, and overnight there were no buyers for them. I lost a ton of money, and through that process. And in 2009, I met a friend, a contact who got started into multifamily back then. And at that time, multifamilies was like on fire sale pretty much. He was able to borrow hard money at 14% and still cash flow these things. It's insane. Yeah, and I should have came in with, and start doing multifamily with him, but my limiting beliefs was that these deals are too complicated. It's just too, yeah. It requires more money, more intelligence than I had, and the single family homes was very cookie cutters, very easy to do, and so that kept me in the single family home space for 20 years. Like
Wow.
crazy, yeah.
Do you have any idea of how many homes that you bought and
Oh
sold
yeah.
in that time?
Yeah, between homes and lands and lots, well over 1,000. So
Wow.
I mean, I did well. I did well in the single family home space. I did a lot of volume, but all of those years, and I watched my friends who got into multifamily, got into the commercial real estate space. They did even much better. Using Brad Sumrock as an example. So Brad and I, in 2002, we both started. We attended a foreclosure seminar together at the same time, 2002. And after that seminar, he went multifamily, I went single family. And some of you guys might know him. He's a huge, yeah. I don't know. I think he has well over $500 million asset under management now, and who knows how many who he has sold as well. But yeah, and then 2 years ago, I met a friend of mine, and Dax, you know him, Javier Hinojo. And I was talking to Javier. It's like, we're just sharing notes. He's like, yeah, I used to do fix and flip too. And these days I do multifamily. Each deal that I do adds at least $1 million to my net worth. When I heard that, I was like, holy cow, like my single family home, like it takes a lot for me to, add $1 million net worth. And so that poked my ear up. And at that time, my son Tyler was turning 17, his daughter was turning 16, and I told him, I was like, hey, how about we start a real estate training program for our kids, and we'll let other kids come in as well. Let's teach them to skip this whole single family home thing and go straight into multifamily, into syndications. And that's how the Teen Millionaire Challenge project started. And then through that project, getting to watch these young people, through that it was a year-long program. Through that program, they underwritten and made offers on over $1 billion worth of real estate. And so I get to watch firsthand on how, how these kids pretty much was able to do this. And here I am, keep thinking to myself, I can't do this. And so, yeah, they made a believer out of me. And that's, toward the end of that program was when I officially got into the multifamily home space.
Wow, and that's when you and I had the opportunity to meet. In fact, when you were kicking off the Teen Millionaire Challenge there in North Carolina.
Yep.
I came out there and talked to the kids about kind of what we do and how we could help them and some of the programs we have in place. So I think the world of kind of what y'all are doing with that and what you've done with it, just to empower these kids to look at the opportunity. Traditional education's not for everybody, right? I think we've all said that in many different ways. It's just not for everybody. It is for some, it's just not for everybody. And so if you can teach them a different avenue and a different way to do things, to be successful in life, to create value, even as a team, right? Because how you did it, you teamed them up with a group and they all kind of had their own perspective piece. And they kind of found their value in that team. So I think it was super cool what you're doing there and the success of some of them. And obviously I talked to a few of them still today, just how they're doing and kind of follow them on their track. So it's pretty cool to see. As you've gotten into the multifamily, more and more, since then, I know a little bit about this story and Javier's story. I think he does it different than a lot of our customers, Dan. And one of the things that he really does a lot of is he does a lot of seller financing. And that's a big piece of what he does and how he's able to raise the money and do things. Do you see that trend kind of continuing as you're moving into this more and more, that people are going, look, I'll finance a piece of this, just bring some of the money to the table because of the times that we're in? Do you see that still being
100%?
The same
Yeah.
trend or a bigger trend, than it has been in the past?
Yeah, I mean, with the current interest rate market that it is now, sellers are definitely more open to seller financing, seller carryback, even if it's not the whole thing, it's a small part of it. Even like seller going, using some of their equity to go into the deal with the operator as well. So I think the whole seller financing, anytime in a down market, like we have here, even on the single family home is the exact same way too. Whenever financing become more scarce, seller financing, sellers do step in because they do want to sell the property and they want to get the most out of their properties. And so that is that is more popular now for sure than it was in the last few years.
Yeah, I think what we had a long span there, stretch of deals not moving because the issues were what they were, rates and all of this, trouble finding funding, and so everybody's having to get creative now and come up with out of the box solutions and that kind of thing. And so I think we're starting to see things move because people are being willing to be creative and willing to do things they wouldn't have maybe done 2 years ago or something. So
and is that a form of like an assumption / throwing their equity in as well? Is that what that looks like for these guys?
Well, there's definitely lots of assumptions in addition to them throwing the equity in, correct? Yeah, so it's a combination of, yes, loan assumptions, seller carryback, seller reinvesting into the deal. It's a combination of all of that, and depending on how flexible the seller is, obviously, and what they need that money for and how motivated they are. But yeah, all of the above.
Well, where are you seeing kind of your business in the multifamily moving forward? Are you seeing certain markets being hotter, certain number of doors being more of your focus? Are you looking at 200 plus, under 100, in Texas only, in the Sun Belt?
Right.
Kind of where are you kind of focusing your energy and your efforts, moving forward in 2024?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit different than most syndicators out there. So coming into this industry, I guess it was fortunate that I have a lot of real estate background and experience. So coming to this industry, I get to look more specifically at which part of the business, number one, that I would enjoy the most and that I would excel in the most. And so looking at from sourcing deals to, operating deals, asset management, capital raising, looking at all of that, I realized that capital raising plays the best to my strength, my skill set, and my, because I'm pretty well connected. So my connections. And so I built my business around specialize in just the capital raising aspect of the business through means of whether that's co-GPs or fund of funds, which is primarily what I'm doing now. I started out with doing the co-GP model, but moving more and more toward the fund of funds model. And so as a fund manager, I look less at the asset itself. I look more at the operator. So I'm looking for top operators that have a proven track record, that are well capitalized. So that way, even in a market like this, even if they have a deal that goes in trouble, that they have the experience and they have the capital to navigate through that. And so my goal is to build my network of passive investors, educate them on how to invest in real estate, how to take advantage of, bonus depreciation and all of that, that would benefit them. And then my value add to my passive investors is that I'm not biased to my own deals, and I'm not biased to any one operator. Because of, as you know, I have my capital raising show. I've interviewed, at least probably 80% or more of the top operators in our industry. And so I have a really good pulse on who's doing well, who's not, who has deals in trouble. And sometimes when I'm hosting my show and I'm interviewing them, if their LPs have bad experience with them, the LPs would reach out to me and tell me about it. So I get, so I get this insider underground, feedback system, and so I'm able to, vet the top operators, and and then from there, depending what kind of deals that they do, vet those deals and recommend the deals that matches my investor profile. So I'll give you an example. I have a dentist that I'm talking to right now. He has like $500,000 that he needs to get depreciate $500,000 worth of depreciation. And he was going to put all of that into one deal. And, so in talking with him now, we're diversifying that among three different deals from three different operators, and different levels of depreciation. But those are the kind of value that I bring to my investors is I am their, in a way, their gatekeeper, and also, their source where they can match their preference, their investment preference, with the specific deal that that would be best for them. And so in terms of, I do have a big preference when it comes to Houston and Dallas properties. I don't have a preference when it comes to even though all the ones I've done so far is multifamily. I'm not, I'm not stuck with multifamily. Houston, Dallas, my preference. Texas, my second preference. I am willing to go outside of that as well. And like I said, the operators is way more important to me. I want operators that I can sleep well at night. Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. We talk about that in here all the time on this show. The aspect that kind of escapes a lot of people in this industry of having the business be a people business. It's a business, not just an asset. So you have to. The biggest thing people miss is thinking about the people involved in the deal, and so you hit on it quite a bit there as far. But what, like, specifically, is there qualities in an operator that you're specifically looking for, and how do you like find those?
Yeah, so their level of experience and their reputation in the industry are two the biggest ones. I look for operators that have at least $100 million asset under management. They have gone full cycle on at least 5 deals. Ideally they've been through the last market crash, but that's not a requirement. And then that they don't have any bad reputation in the industry. So that's the other third one. I find them because I look for them to interview them on my show. And so a lot of the people that I come in and my fund invest into their deals are people that I have interview on my show.
So that brings up a question for me, Tim. During this time, we've had a lot of good operators have deals go bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this time. And how do you differentiate between a good operator and the market at where it's at? So, we all know some good people in this industry who have a couple of lumps on them now because the market surprised them in a couple of areas. Are you dismissing you dismissing their errors during this time, or are you going, well, they should have been more prepared? How are you handling that in your choosing of these people?
Right. I mean, it's not a straight answer, but I look at how active they are in their, as an asset manager, how involved they are as an operator in the deal. I look at how well they communicate. I would pick someone who has a bad deal and they over communicate than someone who has a complete good track record that has no communication. Because when they go bad and they go silent, I mean, investors get very concerned. And then me as a fund manager sitting in the middle, I need to be able to report to my investors. And so I need constant updates. So I look at their ability to communicate and their ability to get in hands-on, and fix any problem that they have. Like if they, so I look for operators that have a strong boots on the ground of wherever the asset is. If they might have partners that are boots on the ground, or they are boots on the ground themselves. If their team don't have a strong boots on the ground, I don't invest in that deal. I would only, like they might be a great operator, but they're in a market where they don't have strong boots on the ground. I don't do it. So that's the other criteria. Yeah.
That's good.
So you said you prefer Houston and Dallas. Do you stick strictly to Houston and Dallas, or do you look outside anywhere, or do you?
Yeah, I'll look outside.
Focus?
Yeah. I mean, Houston, because I live here, I can drive to it. When we do our due diligence, we like to be able to visit the property. So when it's within, driving distance, it makes it easier for either me or my team. And then, Houston, I know Houston the most. I've been investing here for now, 21 years now. Dallas, is I don't know a whole lot, but I know enough, living there for a few years. And so that's why they're my preference. But, just Texas in general, I have a really good feel. I am willing to go outside of Texas as well. Like I said, if it's an operator that's really strong that I like a lot, I'm willing to go where they are, and depend on their expertise. Yeah.
Well, you touched on it a minute ago about your conference, your hero conference you do. Why don't we spend some time on that and let us know kind of what that is and what your goal is with your conference there.
Yeah, so I have a whole community around capital raising. So for the lack of better terms, capital raisers, people who are in the business of raising capital, whether it's for their own deals or for their funds or for other people's deals. That's the community that I run. And so on a weekly basis, we have a show called Capital Raising Party, where I interview a top operator to learn about how they run their business, how they do the capital raising. And then on a yearly basis, we also have an in-person event called the Hero Capital Raising Summit. And it's it's the same people that I interview on my show oftentimes come as a speaker at the in-person event. So now we get to we date online, right? Or we meet online and we date in person, kind of thing. We meet in person, we network, we mastermind, when we build deeper relationship. For me, because my model relies so much on having like knowing who the performers are, who the good operators are in the marketplace. How doing these kind of events allows me to have a better insight into that. And then also beyond that, my goal with this market coming up, I do see a ton of opportunity. And so my goal is to build a network of 100, fund managers, syndicators, and each of them has the ability to raise at least $10 million in the next 12 months. And if you multiply 100 times 10 million, that's $1 billion worth of capital that we as a group will have access to. We can take advantage of all kinds of deals. in this coming market, and which is a very different way of approaching this down market than I did back in 2008. 2008, I was so deep in my own problems. I didn't even dare to think about buying another property. I was just out fixing. And because of that, I miss out so much opportunities back then. And so now, now I'm here at the second cycle of the real estate market. And, and yes, I do have challenges in my real estate business to navigate through, but I'm no longer so wrapped up in my own challenges that I'm not willing to step out of that and still look for opportunities. I learned this recently. I wish I learned that, back in 2008, but Warren Buffett says it this way. He says that, be scared when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are scared, right? And invest when there's blood in the street, even when it's your own blood. So that's, so now I'm not afraid anymore. And I know that the way I used to run business before was, it's all me. Like, I'm the one who does, who will do everything. Now, I think so much about teamwork and leveraging. And so I focus on just what I'm good at. And then, I have teams that are focused on what they're good at. And so because of that, we're able to, to take advantage of this market in a way that, no way I could have done on my own.
It's very interesting, thoughts, invest even, when there's blood in the street, even if it's your own, because it's so true. People do get scared, like you had mentioned in 2008, where you're like, licking your wounds and you're trying to recover before you can move forward. And I think a lot of people are going to be licking their wounds and, coming out of this event that we're in today. But some people are going to, rise above and really make some things happen. And some are going to either get out of the business or altogether, or sit still until, they see that times are good again. So, and they're going to miss a lot of opportunities. So they're going to learn what you did in 2008, coming out of this. And so I think that's a lot of wisdom in what you said. So kudos for that. So anybody looking to get into the multifamily business, most people are capital raisers of some degree, right? Even if you're not a capital raiser, you're raising capital for your own deal of some degree, right? Whether you're bringing other team members on and things like that. So, coming to your hero event, which I was very fortunate to be at your first one you had here in Dallas, and be a sponsor for that.
Thank you.
Of the techniques and some of the things that you do in that event really, I think, are empowering people to be better for raising the capital, right? So in doing that, I honestly think that most people getting into this business, it's a stronger suit and you're more valuable to raise money for a deal, even if it's not your own deal. And that's an easier way to get into it than starting on syndication, because you don't know everything about syndication day one until you make your mistakes. So I've always thought that was a place to start in the business, especially if you don't have a lot of equity to put into a deal and learn from your own mistakes. So I highly recommend Tim's community that he has put together. Be a part of it. Check it out. We'll put a link in this podcast to it. It's very important. So I'm super excited to, have you on the show to talk about that, because it's one area we haven't talked about much. We've brought the syndicators on, we've brought the attorneys on, we've brought all these other people, but really the capital raisers are the people we haven't really brought on yet. So glad to have you here for that.
Thank you.
And I just love hearing the strategy, because it aligns so close with the way that I see things, in looking at the operators and trying to pick people that are operating properties the right way. And moving forward as we get through some of the tougher times. Yeah, like you said, I mean, there's going to be people that'll drop out and be gone, and people that don't want to take advantage of. We know some properties are going to come up that just have to be taken, and somebody's going to make a good deal. Somebody's going to get a good deal. Somebody's going to make a lot of money on that, and some people will stay away from it because it's a bad deal. Well, it doesn't have to be moving forward, and some people will capitalize on that, and some people won't.
Yep, exactly. And I want to also touch on what you mentioned there, Dax, about how a lot of people start in the industry sourcing their own deals, try to do their own syndications. And well, it's, for part of that, it's definitely not their fault, because part of that is it's hard to get into a deal as a co-GP with someone unless you know for sure you can raise a significant amount of money that they would allow you to get in on a co-GP with them. Well, this new wave that's coming now, so the co-GP model as we know it, where people are coming in to, mostly to raise money, and they don't have enough active role in the deal, that model is going away. Now, the real co-GP, where you are very actively involved with asset management and due diligence and all of that, that stays. But the part where we come in and raise money, that's definitely going away. What's replacing that right now is this model called fund of funds, where you're utilizing a vehicle called a special purpose vehicle fund, SPV fund. And so you can create your own SPV fund and be a fund manager of that fund. And through that fund, raise money, and the fund invests into the deal. Now, this allows, the benefit here is that it allows you to raise money for any deal that you want without their permission to having to be a co-GP into their deal. So this opens up so much opportunities, and an SPV fund, even though it sounds, because of the word fund, it might sound complicated, sounds big, but it's really not. It's very similar to a syndication. Because the SPV fund is, you're raising money for one specific deal, so it's almost identical to a syndication with a different name to it, and so now your cost is drastically less. Typically, no more than $10,000 to do an SPV fund. And if you don't think you can raise, I recommend if you can raise at least $1 million to have your own SPV fund. But let's say you feel like you can only raise $250,000. I use that as an example. Well, if you find 3 other people like you that wants to come in to fund with you and share the cost with you, each of you have cost no more than $2,500, and you'll be able to go and raise money for any of these deals that you want. And the cost of the fund, it's a cost, but you do pass it on to your passive investors, and so you will get that reimbursed anyways. So with the group that I'm building, I called our Capital Alliance group, is that there's a bunch of us just like this that I just described, and so we're able to scale, and we're able to go in on raises together, and be able to commit to a bigger chunk of the raise. And so we're able to negotiate much better economics than we could if we had gone into that deal and raised money by ourselves, as a co-GP. This whole industry, and I feel like we're at the forefront of this wave here, this fund of funds wave, and I've been learning so much. It's been like, I've had so much growth in the last 1.5 years that I've been in this industry.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think we've covered a lot of information here, and a lot what you do, and all that, and raising money. Tim, we'll put up how to get in contact with you, how to be a part of your deal in the podcast and whatnot. So
just before we go here, Tim, can you tell us, for folks that are sitting on the sidelines watching the game right now, do you have something you want to say, what you would direct for them?
Well, definitely don't be me. 21 years ago. Holy cow. Be my kids, get started as soon as you can. I mean, if you are in the single family home space, move over here into the multifamily commercial space as soon as you can. If you're not in the single family home space, go straight over. You don't have to go through the single family home route. There's so much things that I love about this multifamily commercial real estate space that doesn't exist in the single family home space. Because the numbers are a lot bigger here, you're forced to partner with others, team up with others, and so you're able to leverage each other's strengths. And so my biggest thing to tell you, and I tell my kids the same way, is don't let your fears, your limiting beliefs hold you back. If you know that this is what you want to do, if you know that building a real estate empire is what you want to do, go straight into this. Go in, and the resources, the answers is going to start to unfold, and you'll have all the answers you need. You have all the resources you need. Don't let your own limiting beliefs, don't let your own, I can't do that, I'm not smart enough, these deals are too big, I don't have access to all this money. All of those were limiting beliefs that I had that I, so wish someone had told me. It's like, Tim, don't worry. Everyone comes in the business have those exact same limiting beliefs. But when they're in the business, they discover that there's teamwork, there's partners, there's resources available. So
very true.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, heard it right from Tim. So if you're sitting on your hands, get off your hands and get up and get to work. So awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Tim. Really appreciate having you on here, and it's good talking to you here.
Yep. Good talking to you. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dax, so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.